What's up, guys? Thanks for coming. We got a great show lined up for you today, as usual. If you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in info box below. And we got a room chock full of participants. How's it going out there? The beautiful Betty Von Velsen.
It's not fun, it's fun. What's the dumbest way to tell you? Good God.
Yeah. That's what they all say.
Yeah. Well, here it is raining. We had a week full of sun, and now it's sort of cooled down, and now it's really raining hard outside. So it's good for the nature, I think, but I'm glad I'm inside now.
It's good for nature, so no midget golfing today, correct?
No, the holes are full of water.
Yeah, that's great. You're off the back nine. You were on the back nine for last show for Ball Busters the whole day. How did that work out for you? What'd you shoot?
I don't have any golf terms other than midget golf. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm not getting into that anyway, because even if I would know them, you would probably misuse them, make fun of me.
Apparently, you're not a golfer.
No. Are you?
I've done a little bit of golf. That's a difficult sport. A lot more difficult than at first glance.
I've seen these golfers on Funniest Home Videos where they smack each other for the head and stuff. It's really funny. Or they fly off. Their clubs will fly off in space and stuff, and balls getting into the water where they can't reach them. And really funny.
The funnest part that I had golfing was on the driving ranges. Excuse me. And they would have, you know, the guy that it's in that cart, it's caged, it's going around picking all the golf balls. Everyone would try to hit that vehicle and him. That's the funnest part. Other than that, I mean, on a regular golf course, nah. I did some chip and putting. That's what they called it, chip and putt. It would be par threes, and that was pretty fun, but I don't know, on regular, like a golf course, nah, it wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, I was thinking I saw a movie where they would golf from a military ship, I think it was. And I would think, who would collect these balls back, right?
Oh,
nobody, right?
The Navy guys would be driving them off the ship.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but who gets you back? I mean,
well, George,
really, how far you could, yeah, how do you say that? Swing that thing and get it away, right? But yeah.
Well, you had the marine biologist George Costanza golfing on the beach that one day and made a hole in one.
How so?
You'd have to see the episode, George as the marine biologist. It is frigging hilarious. One of the best Seinfeld episodes I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that one. I haven't seen them all, by the way. But yeah, that's a good show, right?
Yeah, I'll snatch it up and I'll get it for you. Hey, Nathan, what's up, sir?
Subscribe to Nathan Oakley 1980 and Nathan Oakley respectively.
It's like a robot.
It sounds like a darn robot.
How y'all doing? Good to be here.
Yeah. Outstanding with Thunderfoot in mouth, dude. I watched that after the show this morning. The way you did it, it was hilarious, man. I was rolling.
Well, it was part one of two. I just didn't want to label it as such because I know if you do a two-part anything, part two doesn't do as well. So the way I set it up was to have sort of, this is what he's presented, his pitch, I called it. And then my intention, which I've now released, actually, I released it just before this show, was my full response to it. Now, I knew that the best way to do that would just be to go live and just edit bits that I've said rather than trying to script it or do it to a video that I'm editing, which is how I did the first video. Obviously, you can't not do that if you're taking chunks of his material to show what he said.
Right. I loved every time that woman let go of those balloons and it went into the electrical lines.
I won't repeat what she said, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It was great, man. You timed those things perfectly. I really enjoyed it. And Thunder, Foot, and Mouth, scary, dude. You know, do you ever hear that mantra? It's better to be quiet and let people think you as a fool than to open up your mouth and to remove all doubt. You know that one? I think you need to develop that mantra. Most Ricky Tixer. If you're listening.
When I first shared the video with you, you were like, he seems very prideful. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way. Well, I'm not going to give out the secret, so but we'll just keep that between us. But
fair enough.
Yeah, but the things that he's, it's even below your average baltard that we put up with. It's well below that.
Yeah, a lot of the commenters said the same thing, which is to say, well, typically a baller who comes onto the show has at least watched the show a few times and recognises that if you're going to beg the question, it's just going to get laughed at. I mean, that's been the case for about 3 years on the show, right? Don't beg the question. So to point at the sky vacuum and say it's a sky vacuum, to prove it's a sky vacuum, it is pretty pathetic.
And his bouncy balls for gas. What was he thinking?
He's selling something, isn't he? He's selling his religion. And that was the bit that I liked the best, to be honest, because when he exposes people who make up nonsense. And typically when he's doing it, he's giving a practical demonstration of it and qualifying it with mathematics, which is perfectly acceptable. You know, the only problem comes when he says, and I'm a scientist, therefore you've got to believe what I say. Like, no, you don't need to lend credit to your maths. He does a good job at debunking people until he starts using the sky vacuum with this tumble dryer. And I'm like, right, that's fair game now. You right. You want to use sky vacuums, for example, to debunk people. I'll use that sky vacuum to debunk you. And his response to it is to make up nonsense like the frauds he debunks. So bouncy balls are like gas, are they? Something with intermolecular bonds, a solid, does not behave like gas which expands in all directions. Fundamentally different. Just nonsense to peddle his religion, like all the frauds he debunks. What a bloody hypocrite.
Yeah, it was a train wreck after train wreck. And I'm still wondering, I got to go back and listen to it again. What was his play on Helios? So the Greeks came up with Helios, but did they know that stellar spectroscopy was going to confirm their reason? Which came first, the stellar spectroscopy or the Greeks' Helios?
Helios came first.
So they must have known that it was made of helium. I didn't get that. Am I missing something?
No. He did mention in his video that he slowed down time quite a lot. So I can only assume that he's developed the flux capacitor and given them the information.
I listened to it twice. I said, I got to be missing something here. Can you give me the sequence of events for this, sir? My word.
He also said, and I quote, "I've watched sunset on the moon." End quote.
Oh my God. Yeah, this is going to be fun. And maybe I'm not going to say anything. Let's just keep that in-house for now. I'm not saying anything.
Very leading. The audience knows precisely what you mean. Good job being clear about it.
Yeah, they know exactly what I mean. I keep on wanting to say something, but I don't want to say something just in case he's listening or one of his people are listening. I'll just plead the fifth, right? Let's move off of Thunder, Foot, and Mouth. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we're here to talk about the synthetic versus the natural. So let's do that because it's on topic anyway. Even if it was a show about Thunderfoot, which it's not.
Yeah, and it's a trichotomy. And amazingly, it's this is almost below Thunderfoot. It's pretty surprising that I would even have to give a presentation on this. That's the level that we're at here. But it's a joy because, and this isn't for Baltards. Baltards, if you're listening out there, you need to go somewhere else. This is for the flat earthers. I want flat earthers to take a look at this because every single one of you, every time I listen to anyone's channel, I don't know where you guys got this from, it's friggin' hilarious. You're parroting the same nonsense. You're not thinking through it. And what's going to happen is every time a flat earther gets a hold of you and they bring this topic up, they're going to wipe the floor with you in like 10 to 15 seconds. So I want you guys I don't want you to listen to this. I keep on going on that there's only 2 categories, okay? It's okay. Just think it's true in your own mind. You'll be all right. Oh, you pop back in. Hey, okay. Well, before we get started, Betty, any admin?
Yeah. We got a super chat from Unatox Femu, and he says, "John, please deceive me more. ... Better you than NASA.
Thank you, sir. And I will be not deceiving any time in the future.
Anytime in the future or only now?"
Anytime now, anytime in the future, and anytime in the past.
Okay.
My little golf pro.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you correctly.
Because apparently these guys aren't golfers.
Apparently you are, right? I think that you sort of compared yourself to Tiger Woods.
Well, yeah, duh.
A few times, didn't you?
A few times, yeah, a few thousand times.
I remember even the thumbnail that we used against someone. You swinging like Tiger Woods.
Oh yeah. That's I remember that one. Yeah, was it Ebon?
Yeah, yeah, Ebon Kim.
Yes, I haven't seen him in a while. Is he still on the circuit?
For a long time.
Yeah. All right, let's check out the health. Look like the health of the system is going wild. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Had a couple problems the last couple streams, but we'll see how this one goes. It's looking good. But I'm still suffering a little bit of problems from the storm a couple months ago. So they're slowly getting everything back up online. It's the little things that they have to pay attention to now. So everything's looking good, though. Let's go back. Give me one moment. All right, we're ready to roll. So, folks, what we're here to discuss today is how would I want to say this? Bashing in the head with a spade shovel all by themselves, limiting the categories of reality to 2. There's, in their worldview, or in their thoughts, there are only 2 categories: the natural and the supernatural, right? And by supernatural, I mean they think that supernatural means like ghosts and apparitions, right? And everything else besides that is the natural. Now, there's a means to their ends here. Check this out. Because they're finally getting a clue after 4 years of this science thing. I think they can say the word now. But since flat earthers have been holding them to task, right? They have a problem, and it's a huge one. It's the problem with the dependent variable. That is the effect. That is the observed phenomena. Because the natural sciences only deal with, guess what? Natural phenomena. So that's a big problem for them. And they limit it to a false dichotomy, natural versus supernatural. And what they do is, here's what they do. They say, okay, there's only two categories, natural and supernatural. So I got this book called pendulum. Now, is this pendulum supernatural? And of course, if you get somebody that's listening to this and is not aware, they're going to say, well, no, it's not. Therefore, it must be natural and available for scientific inquiry. That's it. That's their game, right? And they're all parroting this nonsense. And if you think I'm kidding, yesterday I was adding this show and I threw it up on Skype in a bunch of Skype groups. And what did I get? So, from your average Jose JG retard, check it out. So you think I'm kidding, folks? Huh? There's only two, supernatural versus natural. All synthetics are made with natural materials by natural beings. Natural versus supernatural, period. So I'm not just making this up. And the bozos over in his realm, along with bozos on Discord, are all parroting this nonsense, man. And I'm just sitting back saying, what in the world? Haven't you ever heard me come up against your little parrot here? All I need say is, give me the definition of natural and synthetic. And that's it. See, it usually ends the argument. They finally realize that they're caught, right? And they'll do all manner of red herring fallacy, kind of trying to divert around it. And I know I'm not the only one that experienced this. We'll open it up to the group. We got a couple people in here. What about Nathan? What's your experience with this, man? Outstanding. I knew. Well, yeah, of course. You have much experience with this. Paul, any experience with this? Am I still online?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear it all the time. They do equate the false dichotomy. They do that all the time. Anything that's man-made is still natural. I run into that all the time. In my goings and comings.
Oh yeah, it's prolific everywhere, man. Anywhere you go, any baller's going to repeat this stuff because they don't have any clue on what they're talking about. So let me show you. I could stop right here with natural versus synthetic. Synthetic being man-made, right? I could stop right there and then just kick my feet up, pull the stogie out, and start laughing, right? But I won't. We'll draw this out and make it more painful. How about that? So, like I say, please define natural versus synthetic because we got a false dichotomy up here. And if you're going to make that claim of a false dichotomy, you have to show the third choice or eliminate the second choice and avail the third choice to make it the second choice, if you're following me, right? So this is a false dichotomy. Actually, there's three categories, and we're going to get into those here in a few minutes, but we have two right now, natural versus synthetic. So let's define it. What is natural? So from Merriam-Webster, natural world, all of the animals, plants, and other things existing in nature and not made or caused by people. From Oxford Dictionaries, natural, existing in or derived from nature, not made or caused by humankind. Clearly, these guys are delineating the differences between the two. From vocabulary.com, natural, something that comes from nature rather than being man-made. And from Cambridge, natural, from nature, not artificial or involving anything made or caused by people. So you'd figure this is cut and dry, right? Yeah, you'd figure wrong. So this is the death knell. It's always been the death knell. So let's just drop anchor here for a couple minutes. So Merriam-Webster, man-made, manufactured, created, or constructed by human beings. Specifically, synthetic. Synthetic is the word. And the dagger. So this is from Nielsen, Peter, natural, synthetic, and artificial, from artificial DNA, PNA, and XNA, 2010 from PubMed. I'm going to go through this slowly. Pay close attention. As in all scientific communication, Precise language is essential for giving and receiving messages correctly. Where have you heard that before? Thus, artificial would generally mean something not found in nature, and synthetic would mean something that is man-made. To make a chemistry analogy, chemically synthesized B12 vitamin would not be considered artificial, as it is chemically, analytically, and functionally indistinguishable from naturally isolated B12 vitamin. But it is not natural either. Obtained from nature, it is synthetic. You get it yet? This is their death knell right here. Right? And everyone already knows this. It's a crying shame that I would even have to provide citations supporting this. So their ad hoc, feebly conjured, made-up horse shit, the only choices are natural and supernatural, is belly laughed, then pummeled into the incoherent oblivion. Point of order, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The difference between natural and synthetic can be reconciled in less than 2 friggin' seconds by any semi-coherent 4th grader. Comments, questions thus far?
One question.
Sure.
If an animal made it, would that be natural?
Yes.
Like a pearl or in an oyster or something?
Yes, because
Is
it's
that
not...
a natural thing?
Yeah, we're only dealing with 2 categories right now. It's the natural versus synthetic. So synthetic is man-made. So if a man didn't make it, that means with intent and purpose, it's natural. Yes? Good.
Okay. Yeah, because you have these synthetic pearls, right? That are machine made by people,
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
So those you would call synthetic, but if an oyster would make them or whatever animal, right?
Yes.
That would be a natural thing.
Precisely.
Okay.
Just like it says here, let me say this again. To make a chemistry analogy, and this is like I said from Peter Nielsen from PubMed. To make a chemistry analogy, chemically synthesized B12 vitamin would not be considered artificial, as it is chemically, analytically, and functionally indistinguishable from naturally isolated B12 vitamin. But it is not natural either. Why? Because it was chemically synthesized by man, making it not natural by definition, making it synthetic. Follow?
Yeah. Okay.
So likewise, if you create a diamond, do some cutting work for the sake of argument, it could be chemically identical to real diamonds, but it's still synthetic regardless because it's been made by man. Also,
Yes.
I don't want to steal any thunder, but presumably at some stage you're going to detail about something actually happening, i.e. a phenomenon, as opposed to just a thing and whether or not that thing is natural.
Oh, you're all over that part. I put a little PM reminder, so I don't need the PM reminder myself. You're going to bring it up. Do not let me forget that at the end. Yes.
No worries.
Yeah. Thanks.
One more thing, just for the members of the audience, kind of an in-joke, but I'll just say one word and then I'll let anybody else go. So, shoe.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get to that here in a second. Yeah. So, now we have identified 2 categories, natural and synthetic, or man-made. Are there any commonalities between those 2? So, each has one or more of the following: chemical formula or structure, charge, mass, momentum, or spin, or milli-electron volts, kcals, or kilojoules. That is matter or energy. That's what these 2 have in common. One comes from nature, one comes exclusively from man, but they have these in common. That's only 2 categories, but we have 3 categories. The actual situation is a trichotomy. Natural versus synthetic or man-made versus supernatural. So number one, again, natural. All the animals, plants, and other things existing in nature and not made or caused by people. That takes care of natural. That's matter and energy, right? Number two, synthetic. Anything man-made, anything whatsoever. It's got to be purposeful, though, right? It can't be an autonomic type of thing. And we might get into that. A couple people might bring up some questions about that, and we'll deal with them as they come. And supernatural. Super, the prefix means over and above. So supernatural means over and above nature or natural. That means if nature and natural are matter and energy, then supernatural has to be immaterial without matter or energy. I hope that's clear to everyone. Very simple. Here they are. I'm going to drop anchor right here. I'm going to try to, I wish I could get the photons to like imprint on everyone's retina this screen right here. This is what we got. These are the examples. The supernatural.
We're looking at the thumbnail, by the way.
Say again?
We're looking at the thumbnail.
Oh, jeez. Why didn't you tell me before that?
Yeah, you've been on in a rant. Come on.
I'm going back. We're doing that again. So now, so now that we have identified, I'll go through fast. So now we have identified two categories, natural and synthetic, man-made. Are there any commonalities between the two? Like I said, each has one or more of the following: chemical formula or structure, charge, mass, momentum, or spin, or milli electron volts, kcals, or kilojoules. What I'm talking about here is matter or energy. Both of these are constructed or inherent are matter or energy. But the actual situation, like I said, is a trichotomy in our existence. We have natural versus synthetic or man-made versus supernatural. Number one, natural, like I defined above, all of the animals, plants, and other things existing in nature and not made or caused by people. Number two, synthetic, anything man-made. Number three, supernatural. Like I said, the prefix super means over and above. So if natural means matter or energy, super means over and above, that means that supernatural must be immaterial without matter or energy. So now I want to send this out to everyone to burn the photons right into the retinas, right? So you'll never forget this. This is very easy and comprehensive. These are the examples in each category. And I think most people that can fog a mirror can reconcile these. I'm not trying to talk down to you. And we'll go over these a little bit more in depth, especially the supernatural, because everyone thinks that term supernatural has more baggage than Samsonite. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands what it is. It's not ghosts and frigging apparitions, right? So we have the physical and natural.
Paranormal.
Go ahead.
Is that paranormal? You would call that paranormal?
I wouldn't call this paranormal, no. Not me.
No, that you just mentioned, like ghosts and stuff.
Oh, ghosts. Yes, that would be a exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we have the physical. I'll wait for the supernatural. We'll deal with that last.
Hold on. Stop. I'm really sorry to interrupt. I wouldn't normally do this.
Okay.
I don't want you to get crap in the comments from people now talking about ghosts and stuff. Can you just expand on that a little bit?
Me or Betty?
Either or. I just don't want people saying, "Oh, right, so QE's a ghost believer."
No. We're differentiating between supernatural and paranormal. The supernatural, like I said, I just defined it. It's above nature or natural. And the prefix means over and above. So it's without matter or energy. That's the key point. If it exists and it is without matter or energy, listen up, atheists, because this pummels your worldview, because all you can think of that exists is matter or energy. That's the quintessential tenets of your religion. If I show one thing that exists without matter or energy, your whole worldview implodes. I can just stop right here. That's not the mission of this presentation, but in actuality, that's what I'm talking about. So we'll get there. Just hold on. Physical and natural, just like what it says. Trees, water, light, frogs, and sulfur. These are matter or energy, and they come from nature. Man doesn't make these. Man-made pendulums, barbecue grills, shoes, headphones, and Indy cars. Right? We all know that these are man-made. You're not going to be walking out in the wood line and come across an Indy car that was put together by wind, waves, and erosion. It ain't going to happen. Right? However, these two categories right here, like I said, are matter or energy, as opposed to the third category, supernatural. This category, the things in existence here, contain no matter or energy. And leading off the group, the bedrock foundation of all of reality is information. Information, baby. It was without matter or energy. You can't give me the chemical formula or structure, charge, mass, momentum, or spin, or millielectron volts, kcals, or kilojoules for look out, there's a tiger behind you. Ain't gonna happen. Another one is time. Another one is thoughts. These are all without chemical formula or structure, like I said, matter and energy, but they do exist. These are the three categories. It's a true trichotomy. It's not limited to two categories, physical and natural and supernatural, because we have man-made things in this reality. Questions or comments? This is very important.
Good question. Is ice natural or synthetic? Because I can actually go out in nature and find ice, see it form and turn back to a liquid. But I can also go into my fridge, put an ice tray in the freezer and make ice. So
That's true. That's true. So there's a couple of them that cross over, right? But the formation of ice happens in nature, right? If we didn't see it in nature and discover how that would happen, would we have done it?
Probably not. So we learn something from nature and then we do it in a synthetic way.
Right, exactly. So there's some cross coverage here. There's no doubt about it. We'd have to take each specific one individually, right? So here's another one. Let me introduce another one, right? Man. Where would man fall in these categories? Does man make man?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Woman
Yeah,
makes
okay, too.
man.
Woman makes. I knew that was. When I said it, I said, "Oh no, Betty's gonna say." Nope. It has to be with intent, purpose. Man doesn't make it. Remember, I said not the autonomic processes.
I don't know what that word means. I'm just going to confess. What does that word mean?
Autonomic. That means you
autonomic?
do it with that. It happens without thinking, like the autonomic nervous system. You breathe. That's the biggest one.
So hold on, I've got to get clarity here. You're counting breeding as automatic. Well, I had purpose, man.
No, no, that's not automatic. You have to have intercourse, right? But other than that, you're not doing anything, right?
I was.
No, what I'm saying is you didn't make the sperm or the egg. That's not man-made.
I see. So the functioning biology of it, I've got nothing to do. I don't think I'm going to produce a sperm right now. That is happening regardless, is what you're saying. I see now.
Exactly. Yep.
I've got one other question, and I don't know if it's on topic or not.
Go ahead.
So you've never phrased it this way, or if you have, I haven't paid attention to it. You said that matter and energy are the tenets of their religion, and yet the first law of thermodynamics debunks their religion. So when you say it's the tenets of their religion, maybe I'm a bit confused about something really obvious.
Yes, all atheists can do is believe that matter and energy exist in this reality. That's it. Matter, everything has to be matter or energy.
I see. So in other words, as soon as you get to, let's pick one of your examples, look out, there's a tiger behind you. Well, how much matter or energy is in that? Well, zero. It's information, so falls outside of that category. Therefore, they can't qualify it within their worldview. Is that
Exactly. That's how much of a train wreck it is, because as soon as they can't get out of it because they're philosophical naturalists. In philosophical naturalism, only matter, energy exists. So as soon as information comes up or time or thoughts, it's over. They have to deny the existence of it's unbelievable. What usually happens is, see, they take my worldview by using information and thoughts and logic. They steal my worldview to refute my worldview. In other words, atheists are presuppositional kleptomaniacs. They're using my worldview, information, and thoughts to defeat my worldview. That's as simple as that. See, this whole atheism argument that's been going on, I don't know, probably for centuries. I can deal a death blow within 5 seconds. 10 seconds with interruptions. It's over right here. We're sort of getting off the topic a little bit. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with it, but that's okay. What I was saying, there's some crossover here. Is man, so we brought up man. Where would man fall? Or
Fall
woman.
in what?
Or woman. What category or categories would man fall into?
Natural, I think.
So physical and that, obviously people are physical and natural, right? Right? Anything else?
Also, a bit maybe in the supernatural, because we are existing of DNA, which is information.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we are information. When the egg and the sperm come together, it's information that makes up the genetic structure of the kid, but also the phenotype of the kid, right? How it would look like.
Yep.
Nobody would know. We don't both know, as parents, we couldn't know how the child would look like, but the DNA does.
So
Supernaturally.
So all life contains DNA. DNA is chock full of what? Information. So there's a little, it's in both categories. So you got to be careful. Like I said, each individual thing that you bring up, you got to think about it now. Life is a special case, right? So it's going to have some cross coverage in both of these. All life. Anything
Right,
else?
but just so we're back on track with the actual example, though, because it's me who did that. Sorry. An example of boiling water. You can come across a hot spring and go, "Oh, I wonder what causes that happening, that phenomenon." But you can also boil a kettle. Well, is the net effect the same? Yeah, absolutely. But one is a man boiling water. The other is it occurring in nature.
Yes. Anything else?
Yeah, but the boiling water is still a natural phenomenon.
It is still a natural phenomenon. Yeah, the bottom line is the phenomena is natural. Yeah.
Right, but if you try to give me the scientific validity of a boiling kettle, which is essentially the same thing, boiling water, like, well, no, the man made the kettle, which made the water boil.
What about the heat?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It falls in both categories because a man has actually had to achieve something. There's been no natural phenomena observed in that example. There wasn't just somebody stumbling outside their front door and finding there's a boiling hot spring. So, in that example, it's like, well, where's the natural phenomena if you're going to claim science? Because you can validate it with hypothesis, i.e. heat causes the boiling water, or null being if heat not boiling water. But like I say, you've got to have a naturally occurring phenomena in the first instance. And most people will qualify boiling water with, well, a man does that, doesn't he? Well, no, it definitely occurs in nature. It is definitely worthy of science.
Yes, it's a category thing. You got to put them in specific categories. Like, did the man make heat?
Are we back on the egg and sperm thing?
Yeah, we're back on the boiling water because the heat thing. Right? Did he make heat?
The boiling water.
Yeah, the boiling water. Yeah. Did man make heat?
Yeah, potentially.
How did he make it?
Rub sticks together.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some, it could be cross coverage. Yes, but it does happen in nature, correct?
Yes, I'm being facetious.
It's good to go down. Like I said, it's good to mess around in the weeds here because you'll find some nuances. But I just want everyone to get the big picture that it's not just two categories. There's a third category, and it's supernatural. I think everyone can understand the differences between these categories. Hopefully. All right. I think I left this on here enough for the photons to burn everyone's retina. We good?
Can I burn 2 super chats?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we got one from Rikia Live, and he says, "Forget about all this easy DNA stuff. What is light?" Also, I can only hope certain people see this.
Yep.
And then another guy says, again, Unatok Femu. That name.
Unatok Femu.
Yeah, that one. Shu is seed blind experiment part ... baby is pseudo. I don't know what that
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Is that it?
If you can hear me before you move on, couldn't it be summed up one other way? It's called intent.
Yes.
Anything that's intentional. Okay.
It could be. Like I said, it depends. It depends on each specific topic. So I'm not gonna. I don't broad brush anything. Let's get specific. So we have to deal with each individual thing specifically within its own inherent characteristics. How about that?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, the points. Number 1, no synthetic man-made object can enter the scientific method as the observed natural phenomenon, because it's synthetic, right? The dependent variable is the naturally observed phenomenon, the effect, because every cause of man-made effects is, wait for it, frigging man. Right? So this is the rub. See, all these theatrics and linguistic gymnastics and fallacies are coming down. This is the point. That's why they refuse to see that there are 3 categories. Because they need their man-made objects as dependent variables. That's why. That's why we're here. And they can't do it for 2 reasons, and we're getting into that right now. Number 2, physics, that is quantum mechanics, chemistry, biochemistry, genetics, and biology are the natural sciences, not the synthetic sciences. So we're into the natural sciences here, people. Number 3, natural science deals with the natural world and are governed by the scientific method. That is hypothesis testing or experiment. Experiment is the king of the scientific method. Hypothesis is the queen. From the University of Rochester Physics Labs, the scientific method distinguishes science from other forms of explanation because of its requirement of systematic experimentation. Now, can you have science without experiment? No, because it's required. Simple as that. Well, what is an experiment? Or what is the importance of experiment? Let's try Lohr's, e.g., Introduction to the Theory and Application of Molecular and Quantum Mechanics. The final arbiter of truth in science is experiment. Professor Chankar, Chair of Physics at Yale. The only way things change in physics is experiments. Everything is based on experiment. That's the only way we change our mind. You guys getting the importance of this yet? Richard Feynman. If it doesn't agree with experiment, it's wrong. And that simple statement is the key to science. If you don't have the experiment, you don't have the key. You can't get into science without experiment, in other words. Max Planck. Experiment is the only means of knowledge at our disposal. Everything else is poetry. imagination. From the University of Rochester Physics Labs, again, the scientific method requires that a hypothesis be ruled out or modified if its predictions are clearly and repeatedly incompatible with experimental tests. Further, no matter how elegant a theory is, its predictions must agree with experimental results if we are to believe that it is a valid description of nature. In physics, as in every experimental science, experiment is supreme. An experimental verification of hypothetical predictions is absolutely necessary. I don't know what more I need to do here. To have science, you must have experiment, period. So, since I've established that experiment is absolutely indispensable to actual science, what do you need to formulate the experiment? Well, you need scientific hypotheses. From Caltech, physicist Sean Carroll arguing in The Edge that hypotheses aren't simply useful tools in some potentially outmoded vision of science, they are the whole point. Why would he say that? Well, because before you have an experiment, you need the hypothesis. He realizes, even as a pseudoscientist, Sean Carroll realizes that you need hypothesis to have these guys. Experiments. Experiment. He understands it. He can talk the talk, but he's not walking the walk. That's all right. All I need him to do is talk the talk for right now. This is from nature.com. So what is a hypothesis? So lol C. Strategic Thinking for Science Discovery, Cambridge University Press, Becoming a Successful Scientist. A scientific hypothesis is based on what? Cause and effect. Reasoning. A scientific hypothesis does not merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they were related. From Drexel University, the scientific method is hypothesis-driven. One makes an educated guess to explain what? Cause and effect relationship. From Anne-Marie Helmenstein, PhD Biomedical Sciences, a hypothesis is an educated guess based on observation. It's a prediction of what? Cause and effect. And only cause and effect. From Colorado State, a scientific hypothesis, a special kind of prediction that forecasts how the independent variable will affect the dependent variable. Well, the dependent variable is the effect. What do you suppose the independent variable might be in a cause and effect relationship? From Kristen McClellan, The Nature of Science and the Scientific Method, hypothesis. The hypothesis should also contain a prediction, shocking surprise, about its verifiability. For example, if the hypothesis is true, then one should happen when 2 is manipulated. The first blank is the dependent variable. It depends on what you're doing in the second blank. And the second blank is the independent variable. You manipulate it to get a reaction, to produce the effect. There should be no other variables in the experiment that may affect the dependent variable. Yeah, duh. Because if there is, you're not going to know that your independent variable is the cause of the effect. Common mistakes in applying the scientific method from the University of Rochester Physics Labs. The most fundamental error is to mistake the hypothesis for an explanation of a phenomena without performing experimental tests. The most fundamental error. Sometimes common sense and logic tempt us into believing that no test is needed. There are numerous examples of this dating from the Greek philosophers to present day. Well, sort of digressing here for a moment, what do we get from the Baltards? We only get what? Explanations. They don't even have a hypothesis. They will never, ever give you a hypothesis. They're saying here that the most fundamental error is to make the mistake or mistake the hypothesis for an explanation. The ballers don't even got a hypothesis. They got an explanation. What? How do you suppose they would categorize that? Probably well below the most fundamental error, don't you think? Or above, depending on which way you're looking at it. Most catastrophic error. How about the most non sequitur error?
Can I qualify that?
Sure.
It's just making shit up.
Yeah, exactly. What they call that is just so stories, explanations without
I would
hypotheses.
say natural phenomena.
So go ahead, say it again.
A natural phenomenon, making shit up.
It's not natural. They're making shit up. That's a man-made phenomenon.
Is it so shit is a man-made phenomenon?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, so wait a second. You're talking about poopy pants. We might want to let's deal with that.
Shit.
That's a good one. So is poop. Where does poop fit in the thanks, Betty? Where does poop?
It's natural phenomena. That's a natural phenomena.
Yep.
But it's also man-made.
No,
In
it's
some
not.
cases.
No, it's not.
Believe it or not.
Not in some cases.
No,
You
not in
guys
any
don't-
case.
You guys don't poop.
Come on, Huey. I intentionally ate that pizza. Come on, I intentionally did.
It's the same thing.
Guys,
This is
admit it.
all right.
You guys go to the toilet as well. Right?
Yes. It's the same thing as what we talked about having babies, right? It's sort of
Yeah, there's no
autonomic.
information.
Are
come
you
on.
rumpusing me?
Yeah. There's no information in shit, right?
Oh, goodness gracious. No, poop is not communicating with you. If poop communicates with you, you got some huge problem.
And John, are you taking the baby getting a baby the same as shitting? I mean, that's
No.
ridiculous. I know that you guys have trouble sometimes with those things, but I think having a baby is a little bit more extreme.
Betty, we're starting to see your true colors come out here. I would probably cease and desist.
I'm sorry, I was a little bit getting funny.
Yeah. I'm not trying to equate those two just categorically because I can't even believe we're even talking about poop. But man, yeah, it's coming out of man, but he's not making the poop with purpose, right?
Okay. Yeah. You got.
So hold on,
I ate
just
the
for
pizza.
my benefit, is this autonomic or not?
Autonomic.
It is autonomic.
I would categorize it as autonomic. Man's not making poop.
Well, it's not that we sort of intend on doing it the whole
It's
time.
not- It's not like making cement.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I got a super chat I need to shout out now because otherwise it will be not relevant.
Go
It's from
ahead.
Ricky Alive. It says,
Oh no.
I want my money back unless Betty says poop is stupid.
Oh, man.
His
Yeah.
last super chat was miles better. He said, forget all this DNA stuff. What's light? Priceless question. It didn't get answered, I might add.
Yeah, I got another super chat from Rob King, and he says, "This is for Nathan." So apparently he wants you to have some cash. Yeah.
Checks in the post, I'm sure.
Yeah. Whew, look at the time. Okay, anything else before we continue?
No, in all
Yeah.
seriousness, all the tips kick back to DITRH, and then he sorts them out at the end of the night for everyone. So we all get equal tips.
Is that good? Okay.
Shh.
I thought that Anthony was sort of on that.
Oh, he's in a one-man crusade at the moment against monetization. So yeah, I mean, I'm obviously in full support of Anthony, and yeah, on a different subject, smash the super chat, support QE channel.
All right, let's not
Sorry,
let's not lose Go ahead.
I said I'm sorry to sidetrack you. I just want to get you back on track again,
No,
but you
no.
were
Even though it was sort
getting
of
on.
even though it sounded sort of silly, I think that was a good not subject, but item to bring up, because that's many people might think that is man-made. I don't want to spend any more time there. So let's get to the point of this.
Yeah.
Okay, just for argument's sake, we already destroyed their nonsensical buffoonery up above, but okay. Let's follow it to its logical conclusion. Let's allow what they want, and let's see if it makes any sense. So, like I said, just for argument's sake, let's entertain the first argument and allow synthetics, that is, man-made objects, as observed natural phenomena, the first step of the scientific method, that is, dependent variables or the effect, and see how they shake out. So here are here's just some ball-tard hypotheses, right? So we have the independent variable causes the effect pendulum. Independent variable causes the effect lawnmower. Independent variable causes the effect toaster oven. You get the picture. EQ mount, sandcastle, gummy bears, and shoes. What is the answer to every single one of those questions without an experiment?
Man made it.
Yeah. That's the point. We don't need experiments. It's non sequitur to the topic, people. My word. And I'm just over freaking whelmed reviewing scientific literature and encountering metric ton buttloads of volumes on pendulum theories, toaster oven laws, and shoe principles. I just can't get out of it. I'm just overwhelmed with it. I'm looking for, the electron transport chain. What do I get? Pendulum theories. Just loads of them. You guys on crack? My word. Oh, okay. So, this is their ace in the hole. And as soon as I seen this link, I said, oh no, here we go. Because it's Berkeley. And whenever I get citations back in the day for evolution, they would all invariably, like all 5 in like 10 years, come from Berkeley. Right? So I said, oh my God, what have these guys done? Right? So this is the ball-tard's ace in the hole. Here we go. We're going to read through this. Okay? Keep in mind everything I just said. So from Berkeley, Understanding Science. What's natural? Ad agencies might try to sell us on all natural whole grain goodness, natural homeopathic remedies, or non-toxic, all-natural household cleaners. But what does natural really mean? In everyday language, the word natural is often used to describe goods that are wholesome or not made by humans. But in the language of science, natural has a much broader meaning. Within science, the term natural refers to any element of the physical universe, whether made by humans or not. This includes matter, the forces that act on matter, energy, the constituents of the biological world, humans, human society, and the products of that society. So even though we might not think of them as natural in the everyday sense of the word, science can study things like the human smile, human decision-making, artificial sweetener, and learning algorithms for robots because they are part of the physical universe around us. Right? In practice, what's natural is often identified by testability. Natural things behave in predictable ways, though we may not fully yet understand them, which have observable outcomes. This predictability means that we can test hypotheses about natural entities by making observations. Ghosts, for example, are like I told you, that's where they got this from. Ghosts, for example, are supernatural entities without a basis in the physical universe and so are not subject to the laws of that universe. Hence, ghosts are outside the purview of science, and we cannot study their existence or lack thereof with the tools of science. If, however, we hypothesize ghosts to be natural entities made up of matter and energy, see the natural entities, matter and energy, see that? And bound by the laws of the universe, then we can study them with the tools of science and must accept the outcome if the tests we perform suggest that ghosts do not exist as natural entities. This is an abject train wreck. Let me show you, if you didn't catch it by now. Remember, what did we go over before about hypotheses? Because they're saying human products, human synthetics, or human man-made things, that's redundant, man-made things, synthetics, are natural phenomena. But remember, and they fit into science, but remember, let's go over this again. From Caltech, physicist Sean Carroll arguing in The Edge that hypotheses aren't simply useful tools in some potentially outmoded vision of science. They are the whole point, right? Remember, a scientific hypothesis is based on cause and effect reasoning. Cause and effect. The scientific hypothesis does not merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they're related. That's all we're seeing here. Cause and effect. Cause and effect. We went over this above. Scientific hypothesis has independent and dependent variables. Hypothesis, prediction, dependent and independent variables. Cause and effect regimes. So, guess what I did? I took what they said was natural phenomena, and I put them as the dependent variable, just like they had us do. Okay, here we go. Independent variable causes the dependent variable or the effect artificial sweeteners. Independent variable causes dependent variable the effect the human smile. Independent variable causes dependent variable the effect human decision making. And lastly, independent variable causes dependent variable the effect learning algorithms for robots. What is the answer in the blank for each one of these? Man. This is a disaster. Berkeley. So, again, I pulled an excerpt from the link, which is berkeley-bumblingbuffoonbozos.numptymorons/Dunning-Kruger dipshits/pretender clowns. This is going to sound familiar. I just read this. In everyday language, the word natural is often used to describe goods that are wholesome or not made by humans. But in the language of science, reification fallacy, science doesn't have a language, natural has a much broader meaning. Within science, the term natural refers to any element of the physical universe, whether made by humans or not. Uh-oh. You got a problem, Berkeley. From Nielsen Peter, natural, synthetic, and artificial in artificial DNA, PNA, and XNA. You got big problems from PubMed and from just basic common sense. Listen again. As in all scientific communication, precise language is essential for giving and receiving messages correctly. Thus, artificial would generally mean something not found in nature. Synthetic would mean something that is man-made. Here comes the kicker. To make a chemistry analogy, chemically synthesized B12 vitamin would not be considered artificial, as it is chemically, analytically, and functionally indistinguishable from naturally isolated B12 vitamin. Pay attention. But it is not natural either. Obtained from nature, it is synthetic. You got a problem, Berkeley. This right here pummels your nonsensical buffoonery up here into the incoherent oblivion. And we just wrote it out. So, bye-bye now, Berkeley and the false dichotomy. Now, Nathan, before I forget, you brought up a good point. All right.
You want me to reiterate it?
Yes.
So, we're dealing with what is and is not natural, or supernatural, or synthetic, aka man-made. And in science, it is exclusively elucidating the cause of natural phenomenon. So, where does an item that you find in nature, for example, a tree, fit into science?
It doesn't.
So, for it to be validated by science, it would need to be an occurrence. So, for example, the leaves falling from the tree could fall within the remit of science.
Precisely. In other words, go ahead, finish
go
up.
on.
Go on.
Well, I had a side issue, but I'd rather you summarize before I go on to my different things.
Oh, okay. In other words, what he's trying to say is concrete nouns, whether they be natural or otherwise, cannot fit as the dependent variable. Right? We're looking for a naturally observed phenomena. You're trying to look for the cause of that effect or that phenomena. If I look outside, there's a tree out in my backyard. I can't formulate a hypothesis for that tree. Because number one, I'm not observing a phenomena, I'm observing a concrete noun. Even though it's natural, what am I going to do? I didn't observe who put that tree there when it first started growing. It could have blown here through a tornado, or somebody could have planted it purposely, right? I don't know anything. All I see is a tree, right? So the only thing I can do now, tree growth, yes, that's a phenomenon. That tree's growing. That's available for scientific inquiry. I can construct many hypotheses regarding that. But just the tree itself, as a concrete noun, I cannot. And that follows with every concrete noun. It has to be an observed phenomena. Go ahead, Nathan.
I guess.
Yeah, that's it, exactly it. If you say Earth is a sphere, that's not open to scientific inquiry. It's just a dogged assertion of your religious belief. Saying that a sphere Earth has obscured your view in the distance, well, that is a cause and effect relationship. So technically you could at least offer it up for scientific inquiry. You just couldn't vary that which you assumed caused the effect, which would be the same. For that example, a sphere Earth, you can't vary that. So it immediately falls short of capability of scientific validation. My two side notes were to say, back in regards to Berkeley, they said tools, plural. Well, the scientific method is singular. That's it. That is the tool. There's just one of it, right?
Exactly.
That was the first thing. The second thing was just if you'll humour me, this might take a little bit of effort.
Sure, go ahead.
You presenting. Well, if you can present your screen back again and go back to the first list that started with pendulums. And you almost did this. I thought you were going to do it in the presentation, but you didn't quite. But if you can get back to that first list where you say IV causes, and then it started with pendulum on that list, then toaster, etc.
It's up.
If it just for my benefit, if you can just do that list again, but just put the word natural before each of those things, and just say the list again, because that's what Berkeley's proposing you do, right? Take those things as being natural.
They jumped on me, a little stinker. 1 second. Hey! Testing my typing skills. See how fast I can do this. Is this what you wanted?
I can't see that screen. I'm on my iPad, but I assume you just put in natural before pendulum. So yes. IV causes natural pendulum.
Yes. Almost done. I'm on gummy bear.
IV causes natural gummy bear. Love it.
Now we're on shoe. Oh, we have a new signator for the shoe as a natural phenomena. M. Scott Veach. Couldn't happen to a better guy. I'll be getting to you later this week. Thank you. All right, Nathan, go ahead.
No, that was it. If it isn't overtly obvious reading that off the page, I'm not actually reading it off the page, but I've asked you to do it, so I assume you've done what I've asked. It's absurd. No other word for it.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Berkeley. Thanks. That's all I got.
I got something QE. Just think about the natural and synthetic. As an example, gorillas, they make beds or nests out in the wild. Like if I'm walking down the trail and I look over, I walk this trail every day, and then over I look and I see there's a nest there that wasn't there before. So there's a phenomenon. It was there once, and now it was there. It wasn't there, now it's there. Now the thing is, humans can build the same kind of nest. So how would you determine whether that nest was synthetic or natural?
You'd have to observe him building it.
Okay, so if I observe the gorilla building it, then I know it's natural. But if I observe a human building it, then it's human. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
But you also observed the cause.
Yes, you did. Yeah, so that wouldn't be a hypothesis because you already know the answer. Gorilla.
Right. But if I observe it watching, so at the point when you see the nest, it was there. It's not there one day, but there the next. All you see is a phenomenon, but you can't really determine what the cause of that is in that scenario because unless you watch it happen.
No, nest is not. It's a concrete noun again. Nest. That's not something happening.
Well, it was. Well, it was there one day, and it was not there one day, and there the next. So that you're saying that's not a phenomenon that appears out of nowhere. So
I concede. You've got me. You've got me. I concede. You're right.
But wait a second. It depends on the question that you're asking, right? Remember, what is questions do not enter the scientific method. Only how, why questions, right? So say it again.
So my question, the way you'd have to ask the question is, how did that nest get there?
That's not
Could it be man-made?
How did the nest get there? The only way you'd have to observe. Nathan was correct. That is a concrete noun. You would be able to answer the question because you would have to observe, right, the phenomenon, so you would know what made it. So it feeds back on top of each other. Nathan, you were correct in your first gut. Follow? Got reaction?
Yeah.
I got you. I got you. I was listening.
And do these astronomers, don't they do the same thing like with these phenomenon that they have? We see a star this time here, and the next day we see it over there, and the next day we see it over there, and they assume stuff from that, right?
No, careful. You're talking about a misqualification of what they call a prediction, and it isn't.
Yeah, but maybe we could predict the nest being there from a gorilla.
No, I'm gonna have to break that down now. No. Right. Thanks for that. So observing a pattern versus observing a phenomena and calling it a prediction. Well, a scientific prediction is a hypothesis, and a hypothesis establishes the dependent variable, naturally occurring phenomena, and that which you suppose causes it. But that's a scientific prediction. Now, if you observe a pattern, now I'll just use QE's example for ease. If you observe a clock going round and round and round indefinitely, it's a clock that goes on forever, it doesn't need charging. And you observe that before 11:59 comes 12 o'clock, and then after observing it indefinitely for God knows how long, you say, I'm going to make a prediction now, prediction in quotes. I'm going to say after 11:59, it's going to hit 12 o'clock. But that's not a prediction. It's certainly not a scientific prediction, which would be a hypothesis. So you're talking about observing things that just occur with a cyclical nature in regards to that particular hypothesis. But we're qualifying it when we say, well, they can have the first step. They have observed phenomena. We're talking about them seeing a supernova or something like that. You know, they've observed something happening. Well, wonderful. So you've got a phenomena. Okay, now let's establish what you suppose causes that and get it down on paper with a null. So if this, i.e. your supposition, then the supernova, or if this, then not supernova. Well, normally the thing's been and gone, right?
Exactly, you got it. That's why astronomy, cosmology, and astrophysics aren't actual sciences, because they cannot even formulate. Now, they can observe a phenomenon. They got the dependent variable. They got it. Which forever illusory is the independent variable in experimentation for them. They're not sciences.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be fair of me to not mention Thunderfoot at this point. So he's done exactly that. You know, he's been challenged by me as a pseudoscientist pretender clown, and his response to that is to say, me, not a scientist? Me, who's looked at the sun? Me, who's watched Jupiter rotate? Me, who's looked through the best telescope on Earth? Me, not a scientist? Yeah, that's right. None of that science.
True. Yeah. Yeah, but what I was alluding to was what Paul said when one day you don't see a nest in a tree for a bird, for example, and the next day you see a nest in the tree, right? So something happened overnight, and I think that when you're looking at the sky and you see a star in the sky, and then the next day or the next night you see that star moved a little, but you missed a whole day of watching and observing. So even these observations, the observations, that they do, isn't following it from minute by minute and second by second. It's just sort of day by day or night by night that they do, and a ton of things could happen between those time periods, I would say. So that's what I was sort of alluding to, but I understand what you're saying. It's just observation. We don't know what happened. That's basically it.
Great.
Right, shout out.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Slick James Johnson. You know, observe and declare. That's what they do. Hey, look, that's a light in the sky. Well, that's actually a gas burning in a vacuum. Well, no, that's just making up a story after looking at something.
Exactly. Observe and declare. That's how science is sort of put into parentheses right beside it to grease the skids to give it some validity when it's an oxymoron.
I find it funny from the video that you had on, Nathan, with that guy, that he said, yeah, look at this. It's a gaseous planet. So how about that second law of thermodynamics? I thought, my God. That's so,
Yeah, that's it. His
so,
evidence was, look, that gaseous planet is his evidence. It's a gaseous planet.
Yeah, but they have never been there, and we have to explain how they ever could be there. So they tell a story that they've been there with satellites and whatever, and that spectroscopy, whatever. And then they declare it be a gaseous planet, but they forget about the whole second law of thermodynamics, and but the people will explain it away because they just have to tell a story, and people will fill it in for them. They will defend it to teeth.
You didn't say it right. It's spectrochocoloscopy.
Yeah, well, I miss Adam, so he would have said it correctly.
Shout out to Adam and Chocolate.
Yeah. Well, they shine by not appearing, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I shout out the Superchat?
Go ahead.
I got that you not more talks whatever female again.
Nathan says it the best.
It's because he broke it down for me phonetically once. It's Unitox Femu.
Unitox Femu. Yeah, that's it. He says shoe exploded in space and Big Bang started.
Yeah, that shoe, big problem. I'll tell you what, man, they are all on top of this. I'm telling you.
The template, right, of the beginning of everything. So they thought footprint, shoe. Makes sense.
Yeah, this is, like I said, I shouldn't even had to construct a presentation on this. I don't mind. This is ludicrous that I would even have to discuss it.
Au contraire, I think it was an excellent presentation. I was going to wait till we're off air, but just to reiterate my point, do you mind if I mirror this? This was an excellent presentation. While you feel it's like, should I have to say this? Yeah, this is one of the best, most concise presentations in terms of science, what it is, what it requires, what it isn't, what people say it is. the differences that the title suggests in terms of synthetic versus natural versus supernatural is just the tip of the iceberg. You've covered everything in this presentation. It's been glorious.
Wow. Yeah, you can mirror it. That's fine. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. I will.
And remember, this is for flat earthers because they have already, it's already a well-known fact. Like I said, I showed you the message that I got. I hate to use all because it's a stereotype, but every time I hear Hangouts, they're all on board with this, that there's only two categories, the natural and supernatural. That's how they do it. Like I said, let me go over it again. This is how they do it. And everyone knows the reason why they're trying to grease the skids for their pendulum or whatever, right? They say, okay, there's only two categories. You got natural, and of course, supernatural means apparitions or ghosts. And then they say, okay, is this pendulum an apparition or ghost? You got to say no. Right? If you went up with them this far, you have to say no. Therefore, it's natural. Therefore, it's allowed into the scientific method. That's the game. That's it right there.
Well, a man made it. Yeah. But men are natural.
Yes, exactly. You got it. So they bypass the really easy way to do it, like I've been doing it from the beginning, is to say, okay, give me the definitions for natural versus synthetic. Now, once you have to be prepared for the name calling and the obfuscation, red herring fallacies you're going to receive for the next 30 minutes from everyone, right? Because they will not define those. No one defined those yet. Because once they do, it's over. Because you introduced a new category, which everyone knows as plain as the nose on your face. Man-made, synthetics. They're everywhere. All right. Betty?
I have one last thing though, QE.
Go ahead.
It is a question.
Go ahead, Paul.
Can there be a natural occurring phenomenon inside of something that's synthetic?
A naturally occurring phenomenon inside a synthetic? Give me an example.
I guess I'm driving a vehicle. We do see rust in nature. I guess you could say that. Car rust, even though the car's synthetic. You do see rust, which is naturally occurring, or could naturally occur.
Is rust a phenomena, or is rust a concrete noun?
Well, I could sit and watch, like the other day, like the car I'm driving. I drove it the other day, and as you know, that the brakes are spinning and it rubs off and becomes shiny. Well, I could sit there, and if I watched it, probably I could watch the rust appear on the rotors. That would be a phenomenon.
You can watch paint rust.
Well, on the rotors of the car, the brake rotors. Come on, Huey, you know better.
Well, we can watch paint dry. It's also a phenomenon.
Yeah, so you could watch paint. Seriously, I'm just saying. I'm trying to. This is kind of where it's going to go, and I'm asking the question for a reason. Because if it's possible, then if I make an apparatus, and could there be something naturally occurring inside that apparatus?
The best,
whatever that may be.
The best thing to do with any of your questions, if you're unsure, put it into a hypothesis. Then you can see it. That's what I do. Go ahead.
So why did my rotors go from silver to brown?
A pterodactyl dumped on it?
Well, no, that would be. I guess that would be a question. Like, why? I saw it happen. The rotors were silver, or silver looking, shining. Then they, over time, became rust colored or brown.
Have a bash with this, QE. Just
go ahead.
Try and draw it.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Well, only as an example. Again, this is going to be for people who are, watching a lot of flat Earth debate. Shout out to myself, Nathan Oakley, 1982, obviously. Anyway, yeah. So you watched QE on multiple occasions go through the screen that has naturally observed phenomena, and then it gets formulated into the scientific method with the independent and dependent variable. If you have that in your mind, when you're asking your question about the rust, how would you get on if Huey was putting those questions to you? So, naturally observed phenomena, please, Paul.
The rust appeared on the rotors. That's my naturally occurring phenomenon.
So Russ,
do we observe?
go ahead.
You go ahead. Take
No,
him
no,
through it,
no.
Huey,
Go
man.
ahead. Go ahead. I'm not taking your thunder.
So, when do we observe rusty brake calipers in nature?
Okay, rusty caliber brake. Okay, but I mean, I could argue that you can find steel, or not steel, but iron in nature.
Yep.
Or iron ore, I guess.
Yep.
You can find. Yeah. So we're back to this. So you observe iron oxide in nature, and is that a concrete noun?
I mean, yeah, iron oxide is a concrete noun, but there is a cause for it, right? What
That's
causes
lovely,
iron?
but it's not something occurring.
It is occurring, but he can't see it.
Right, but if it's occurring, whether I see it or not, it's still a natural phenomenon. Correct?
No, it's a natural concrete noun.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm trying. You see what I'm trying to do, though, because this is what the ballers are going to do. They're going to say, well,
Yes.
even though it's a synthetic thing, they're going to say, well, there's this natural occurring phenomenon occurring in that. I mean, I was thinking one of the things I was thinking of is the hadron collider. You know, they're making these particles do all their things, but I don't see particles doing those things in nature. So is those really naturally occurring?
Right. There's no science being done at the colliders, none whatsoever. Give me one hypothesis from any of the colliders. One. I want to see one viable scientific hypothesis. That's rhetorical. I mean, you could give it to me. You see me in Discord, just go ahead and write out the I don't need a story. I need the hypothesis. I need the independent variable and dependent variable identified. That's it. That's all I need. If you got one, then that's fine. If it's a viable one, then I'll correct myself, but or stand corrected. But as of right now, you ain't got none. Not you, Paul. Royal.
Oh, I know. They're just smashing particles together, and they're doing all kinds of crazy fun stuff. That's all that's happening.
Who's causing that?
I said they are. There's these people.
They
have lab coats.
Right.
Yeah,
people are causing that, correct?
Yes, they are causing that.
Prosecution rests.
And that summarizes this whole show beautifully. That's the whole point, isn't it? What we're talking about is a dependent variable. What's a dependent variable? Well, it's something happening in nature that you want to figure out the cause of.
Yep. Anything else?
I plug my show that's starting at 9 p.m. UK time. That's 30 minutes from this moment if you're watching live.
Yes.
Be here or be sphere for brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. The show title is Reification. Check it out. It's on Nathan Oakley channel, which is my second channel. So be here or be sphere, 9 p.m. UK time. What time is it there?
Currently, it is 14:29.
So 3 p.m. Central Standard. It's 9 p.m. UK time on the Nathan Oakley channel. Brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show, and the title of it's Reification. But check it out. I'll spam the link in live stream chat, so check it out if you want to go and watch that. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah.
Show. Excellent show. I'm going to mirror it.
Thank you, man. Betty, any final thoughts or any admin?
No, I think the presentation was great. Short and concise, right? With a little bit of fun in it. So good.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for coming. Like I said, remember, what they're going to do is they're going to try to put this into a false dichotomy. So just call them on it real quick. Natural versus supernatural. They're going to give you, and their supernatural is ghosts and apparitions. And then they're going to give you some man-made object like a pendulum and tell you to make a choice. Where does this fall? Which category? Supernatural or natural? And obviously you're going to pick natural. And there you go. That greases the skids for their natural phenomena. Now, they're not going to give you a hypothesis. They're just going to say science, right? So just be aware out there The true trichotomy is supernatural versus natural versus synthetic. The true trichotomy, people. All right? This is a real easy one. So, take no prisoners. No quarter will be asked. None shall be given. And remember, I'll be back.